eat maybe like 1 or 2 slices of turkey and about as much stuffing as I possibly can. That's pretty much like, and a little bit of cranberry sauce just to kind of like balance it out. But canned sweet potatoes, no. Canned beets, no. Sweet potatoes baked in marshmallows, no. We didn't eat green beans or any type of green, so it was like, just eat the stuffing. So definitely for the holidays, I need to try to find some type of like hearty food that would really give me that feeling of the foods that I used to eat during harvest time and during Thanksgiving. And looking at a lot of like stuffing recipes online, I found a lot that are just like all nuts. And I just found it to be way too heavy and rich and just like kind of gut bombers. So
belly bombers.
Yeah. So I kind of worked with a couple different ingredients to kind of give me something that I thought was a little lighter and a little more kind of fun and nicer to work with. So that's how I incorporated some wild rice and some sprouted quinoa into this dish. So sprouted wild rice stuffing, which goes great with like goji berry and cranberry sauce. Or we'll add some pomegranates at the end, and that'll be nice. So first thing you want to do is a day ahead of time is to soak some quinoa, and you could do about a half a cup to a cup of quinoa, dried or from the bulk bin or your package, and soak it in fresh, clean water. Usually double the amount of water as you have quinoa, and soak it from about 2 hours, 4 hours, just a couple hours. And then you want to strain it, rinse it really well. I like to just pop it right into a nut milk bag. And then you basically just leave this overnight as it is at room temperature, and it's going to sprout within 24 hours. So that's the first thing you got to do. And you can see this is just a day old, and it's like really sprouted and like so full of enzymes. This is live food right here.
Is that 24 hours about, Frank?
Yep. I started that yesterday, so.
Is there too
You don't
long
rinse
of a
it
time
first
frame?
because to get the bitterness
No, I
off?
do rinse it, and I rinse
yeah,
it
'cause
again
like-
until the water runs clear.
Oh, okay,
Is
yeah.
there too
'cause
much of a
otherwise
time
it
for
would-
quinoa?
Well, you'll know. I mean, this is this is a pretty long time because
Yeah.
the strands have gone like basically all you're looking for is that tail to kind of just pop out. So it's not something that like a mung bean that requires 5 days to go with. Like quinoa is the quickest to sprout. Buckwheat sprouts pretty quickly too. So you have that, and then I basically took some wild rice. This is very high quality Canadian wild rice that is hand harvested. It's like $13 a pound. I think it's hard to find organic wild rice, but it's kind of like chia that you could get like good quality, but you're not necessarily going to always find organic. So some of this burst open, some of it just kind of softens up. It definitely has more texture than like cooked grains, but I like the different textures that you get in this dish. And so basically I took some warm water and I just poured over the rice and I let it sit for 24 hours, even longer.
You can stick it in a dehydrator.
Okay, you could do that as well. And so basically I just let it go, and we're going to add that in there. And we just give that a little stir. And then we're going to go with our seeds. And again, I like to use the seeds because they're just easier on my system. And I find them just kind of not so dense and heavy. So I did a mixture of sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds, and we'll add a little walnuts, and go from there. So the sunflower seeds is also something that I've kind of germinated, and those are been soaked overnight and let them sit out at room temperature. And these will also kind of sprout. So they kind of pop, and this basically would turn into a sunflower seed plant if you let it continue to grow.
It would grow in this weather?
What's that?
It would grow in this weather?
Not in this weather,
Okay.
but in general, like this is how you would start if you
Okay.
want to start from scratch growing sunflowers. And I'm not looking for a puree, I just want to kind of break it up a little bit more. So just give it a quick couple pulses. I'm all about textures and seeing different colors and shapes and big chunks, small chunks in my food. So I like to kind of have some diversity with the foods. And then we got some pumpkin seeds. And the same thing, we're just gonna add them in there and give them a quick pulse.
Frankie, where's the best place to get wild rice?
Wild rice. The one I got was up at the old Saybrook Food Works, which is a pretty long drive for you, but
Yeah.
you should be able to find a decent quality or a good quality one in any store, and you just gotta kind of search it out.
The Edge of the Woods has it, right at the street.
What's that?
How do you know if it's a good quality?
Price?
Kind of by
Yeah.
the price, or like just looking at the label. Like this one said, premier quality hand harvested Canadian wild rice. So that, you know,
Sounds
and I
good.
was like, okay, I'll take it. And then we're gonna add some walnuts. And again, just a couple quick pulses just to break them up. And then we're gonna mix that up nice. As you get already, when you start looking at it, you get all these different kind of colors, and it kind of has that fall festive. You know, we get a lot darker colors in fall, and the more natural colors. And so once that's ready, now we can start adding some other stuff to it. So we're going to take some flaxseed, and the flax could be completely eliminated from this recipe. I like to add it just to kind of helps bind things together a little bit. You know, I'm not looking for a huge mass like making a loaf or a bread, but just enough to kind of get things to be a little more kind of together. We'll stir that in.
Was that ground?
Yeah, this is ground flaxseed. I always buy whole seeds and then grind them as needed because I pretty much feel that pre-ground flaxseed is pretty much lifeless. So, yeah, so it's something as I need it, I'll just kind of grind them and be good to go. And usually, if you have 3/4 of a cup of dried seeds, you're going to end up with about 1 cup of ground. So it's going to grow a little bit as it grinds and expands. Then we're going to add some salt, and I'll put about, probably close to a tablespoon. And then one little nice addition that I like to add is dried mulberries. And they're kind of semi-sweet, they're chewy, and it just gives it, again, some more texture and just a kind of like, ooh, I didn't know that was in there, and you're like, it's like a nice surprise. So we stir that one in there. And then we'll add a little bit of dried oregano. And if you have fresh, you can go for fresh. Generally, you use double the amount of fresh as you would dried. And then these are some herbs from my garden, which I'm gonna add. And I have some fresh thyme. Well, it's dried thyme now, but we'll add some of that.
Talk about, Frankie, drying that, I guess, in the dehydrator?
You can dry them in the dehydrator, just at a low setting, you know, about 105, and just put them on the trays and let them dehydrate like that. Or, you know, you could get a little more sophisticated and kind of hang a clothesline in a dried room and just kind of hang them up in bunches with like your shirts. And that's a good way to do it as well. Just like that. Soak your nuts, dry your herbs.
We must